You're feeling that urge to drop everything and start over somewhere else. It's not the first time this thought has crossed your mind, but now it's different. It's stronger, more insistent, almost like an internal command that won't let you rest. You look at your life, at the things you've built, and you have the strange feeling that none of it is really yours. As if you're living someone else's life, following a script you didn't write. And then comes the question that paralyzes you. Is this desire to change everything a genuine calling, or just desperation disguised as courage? Because if you move at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, you'll create a bigger problem than the one you're trying to solve. In the next few minutes, you'll learn the difference between a divine calling and an emotional impulse, between the right timing and a hasty escape, between wise preparation and cowardly paralysis. Because there's a change that sets you free, and there's a change that just traps you somewhere else. Let's get straight to what you're feeling right now. You wake up, and before you even open your eyes, you know. Another day just like the last. The same people, the same conversations, the same problems you've tried to solve 1,000 times, and they're still there. And there's that weight in your chest that isn't physical, but it's there. A growing sense that you're wasting precious time in a place that no longer fits you. You look in the mirror and barely recognize yourself. When did you become this person? When did you accept this routine as if it were destiny? And then the signs begin. You dream of places you've never visited, but that feel strangely familiar. You feel a deep nostalgia for a life you've never lived. You see repeating numbers, overhear random conversations that seem to speak directly to you, stumble upon opportunities that appear out of nowhere, pointing in a specific direction. And each sign seems to scream, "Get out of there, go, don't waste any more time." But what if it's a trap? What if you're confusing restlessness with a calling, exhaustion with purpose, the desire to flee with the courage to start over? Let me show you exactly what's happening. You're experiencing what the ancient Hebrews called galut, which means exile, but it's not necessarily geographic exile, it's existential exile. It's being in a place where your body resides, but your soul doesn't belong. And galut has two forms: the galut that God allows to refine you, and the galut that you create yourself by running away from what you should face.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who were tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.
The difference between the two determines whether your next move will be liberation or just a transfer of prisons. The Universidade Federal de São Paulo published studies on what they call emotional nomad syndrome. People who constantly change places, jobs, relationships, thinking the next one will solve their internal emptiness. The data is revealing. 73% of those who make geographic moves primarily motivated by emotional escape report the same levels of dissatisfaction within 18 months in the new location. Why? Because they took the real problem with them, which wasn't in the place, it was within them. But this doesn't mean that every desire for change is an escape. There is legitimate, necessary, divine change. Abraham received a clear command: leave your land, your relatives, your father's house, and go to the land that I will show you. He was 75 years old, had an established life security, and God said, leave. But notice the details. God called, but didn't force artificial urgency. Abraham had time to prepare, to organize, to bring who he needed to bring. It wasn't a desperate escape in the middle of the night. It was an intentional, prepared movement, with direction even without a complete map. Now compare that to Lot. He was in Sodom when the angels came to warn of imminent destruction, and even with a direct warning, Lot hesitated. The Bible says the angels had to take him by the hand and pull him out by force because he was delaying. Why? Because Lot had become comfortable. Even in toxic territory, he had built comfort. And when he finally left, it wasn't by calling, it was by emergency evacuation. And he still lost his wife along the way because she looked back, attached to what was being destroyed. Which one are you? Abraham responding to a calling with preparation, or Lot being forcibly dragged out of a place he should have left long ago? The difference isn't just in the timing, it's in the posture. Abraham went in faith, Lot went in panic, and faith generates foundation. Panic generates fragmentation. So how do you differentiate? How do you know if the restlessness you feel is a genuine calling or disguised anxiety? Here are the markers that don't lie. First marker, a genuine calling has direction, not just repulsion. If all you feel is I need to get out of here, but you have no clarity about where to go or why, it's probably an escape. Escape is always away from. A calling is always towards. You may not have a complete address, but you have a north. Abraham didn't know the name of the land, but he knew it was a land God would show him. He had spiritual direction even without a physical GPS. If you just want to escape but aren't attracted to anything specific, stop, because you'll take your dissatisfaction with you and discover that the problem wasn't the place. The Max Planck Institute conducted research on the motivation for significant life changes and found a consistent pattern. Changes motivated by attraction, pulled by purpose, have a long-term satisfaction rate of 81%. Changes motivated by repulsion, pushed by dissatisfaction, have a rate of only 37%. The difference is in the foundation. Attraction builds on something. Repulsion destroys without replacing. Second marker, a genuine calling prepares you gradually. It doesn't throw you without a net. When God calls, he also equips, not necessarily before you start, but in the process. Moses received the call at the burning bush, but spent time being prepared before facing Pharaoh. Joseph had dreams of leadership at 17, but spent 13 years in a pit and prison being refined before reaching the palace. If the urgency you feel demands that you abandon everything tomorrow, without any preparation, without any resources, without any bridge, be suspicious. This is impulsivity, not a calling. The Greek word hetoemazo means to prepare, to make ready, and it appears repeatedly in the context of biblical callings. God prepares the way, prepares the person, prepares the circumstances, not all at once, but progressively. If you don't see any element of preparation happening, if all you see is chaos pushing you to the door, stop, breathe, because a divine calling doesn't operate through panic. Third marker, a genuine calling increases clarity, not confusion. When you're on the right path, even if it's scary, there's a strange peace beneath the anxiety. A deep certainty you can't logically explain, but that's there. The Greeks called this eirene, peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. It's not the absence of fear, it's the presence of conviction. But if all you feel is internal turmoil, contradictory voices, constant doubt about whether this is really it, you're probably not ready yet. The calling might be real, but the timing might not be. The Universidade Federal do Rio de Janeiro mapped decision-making processes in life transitions and discovered something fascinating. People who report paradoxical peace, simultaneous fear and certainty have a non-regret rate of 89% in major decisions. People who report only turmoil or only artificial comfort have much higher rates of reversal. Paradoxical peace is the most reliable indicator of alignment. Fourth marker, a genuine calling is confirmed by wise community, not just individual impulse. If everyone who knows you well, who loves you, who has no agenda about your life is raising a red flag, you need to pause. It doesn't mean they're right and you're wrong, but it means you might be seeing something distorted by emotional pressure. Proverbs says, "Where there is no counsel, the plans fail." It's not about asking for permission. It's about submitting your perception to the test of reality through trustworthy people. There's a powerful story about this. David being anointed king as a teenager. He had prophetic confirmation through Samuel, but he didn't run off to seize the throne. He continued to tend sheep. He served Saul. He fled when he needed to. He waited for the right timing. He had opportunities to force it, but he didn't. And when he finally took the throne, he was 30 years old, with maturity, support, and legitimacy. He trusted that the anointing was real, but he also understood that divine timing is not chronological. It's chirological. Kairos versus Chronos. Chronos is clock time, linear, the same for everyone. Kairos is opportune time, the right moment, a window that opens when conditions align. A calling operates in Kairos. You may have received the vision years ago, but the Kairos for execution is now. Or you may be feeling urgency now, but the real Kairos is 6 months from now. Confusing the two leads to premature movement or prolonged paralysis. Harvard published studies on what they call optimal decisional timing, and found that decisions made when there is alignment between internal preparation, external opportunity, and community confirmation have the highest rates of sustainable success. If any of the three are missing, the probability of problems increases exponentially. So how do you know if it's time? How do you differentiate between not yet and now? Here are the practical tests. Test 1, the subtraction test. Imagine you make the change you're considering. You quit your job, move to a new city, end the relationship, abandon the project. Now, 6 months later, without the adrenaline of novelty, do you still feel it was the right decision? Or do you realize you just traded one set of problems for another? If you can't envision sustainable satisfaction on the other side, just temporary relief, it's not time. The Fundação Getúlio Vargas conducted longitudinal research on satisfaction after significant changes and identified what they call the honeymoon effect. The first 3 to 6 months in any new context are emotionally inflated. Everything seems better just because it's different, but when the novelty wears off, the structural reality emerges, and if the change was made for the wrong reasons, the dissatisfaction returns, often worse. Test 2, the addition test. What are you gaining from the change besides distance from what bothers you? Is there something specific that attracts you? An opportunity that only exists there? A calling that cannot be fulfilled here? If the answer is just, anything is better than this, you're running away, not moving. An escape never builds, it only displaces. Test 3, the preparation test. Have you done your part? Have you developed the skills you need? Have you saved the minimum necessary resources? Have you built relational bridges? Or are you waiting for everything to magically align before taking the first step? There's a difference between wise preparation and disguised procrastination. Preparation involves incremental action in the right direction. Procrastination involves justifications for inaction. The Universidade de Campinas mapped the trajectories of entrepreneurs who left jobs for their own projects and identified 2 distinct profiles. Group 1 planned the transition, saved a 12-month reserve, validated the idea, built a network. Survival rate after 3 years, 74%. Group 2 left on impulse, without savings, without validation. Survival rate, 29%. Courage without wisdom is recklessness. Test 4, the reverse regret test. If you don't make the change now and 5 years from now you look back, will you regret it? This is the question Jeff Bezos asked before creating Amazon. He called it the regret minimization framework. He asked, at 80 years old, will I regret having tried and failed or never having tried? The answer determined the choice. And you? Is the greater regret in going or in staying? If you've come this far and feel that the answer isn't clear, that there are elements of both sides, you're exactly where you should be. Because truly important decisions are rarely obvious. If they were, they wouldn't require faith. But here's what you can do now, today, to gain clarity without making a hasty move. First move, test on a small scale. Want to change careers? Start by doing a side project in the new field. Want to move to a new city? Spend a month there before committing. Want to end a relationship? Have honest conversations about what's not working before leaving. Test the hypothesis without burning bridges. If the attraction increases, you have confirmation. If it decreases, you've saved yourself an expensive mistake. Second move, document patterns. Get a notebook and for 30 days write down, when is the restlessness strongest? What triggers it? In what contexts do you feel more alignment versus more misalignment? Patterns emerge, and patterns reveal whether it's a temporary exhaustion that needs a vacation or structural misalignment that needs a change. Stanford published studies showing that 4 weeks of self-monitoring increases self-knowledge accuracy by 62%. Third move, create a realistic timeline. If the change is real, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, it can be in 6 months, in a year, and you use that time to prepare, financially, emotionally, relationally, spiritually. Make a transition, not a rupture. Because ruptures bleed, transitions heal, and you want to arrive on the other side whole, not fragmented. And while you do all this, observe synchronicities. Don't force them, but pay attention. When you're aligned with a real calling, doors begin to open without you having to break them down. Not magically, but organically. You mention an idea and someone knows someone. You research a city and an opportunity appears there. You take one step and the next one lights up. This isn't a guarantee, it's an indicator. God confirms callings through progressive providence. But there's also the inverse scenario. You force it and everything jams. You push and the doors resist. You insist and the cost becomes higher and higher. This is also a sign. It might be that the timing is wrong. It might be that the direction is wrong. It might be that you need to learn something here before you're ready for there. Wisdom is discerning the difference between resistance that must be overcome and resistance that must be heard. There's a beautiful Hebrew word for this, hineni. It means, here I am. It's the response Abraham gave when he was called, that Moses gave at the burning bush, that Samuel gave in the temple, that Mary gave to the angel. It's not just, I am present. It's, I am available, I am attentive, I am ready to obey. But notice, each one said hineni at different moments in their lives, in different contexts, for different callings. What was common? A posture of openness without anxiety, of readiness without haste. You can say hineni today exactly where you are. It doesn't mean you'll make a dramatic change tomorrow. It means you are open to what God is saying, willing to move when the time is right, committed to preparing while you wait. And that posture alone changes everything, because it takes you out of the paralysis of fear and the recklessness of impulse and places you in the zone of active wisdom. And here's the final truth that will set you free. You are not late. No matter how many years you think you've wasted in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing with the wrong people. Moses was 80 when he was called. Abraham was 75. Sarah was 90 when she conceived. Caleb was 85 when he conquered the mountain. God's timing is not chronos, it's kairos. And your kairos might be now, or it might be a little later, but it hasn't passed. As long as you have breath, you have a calling. The restlessness you feel is not a punishment. It's an invitation. It's not meant to terrify you. It's meant to awaken you. And a wise response is neither to remain paralyzed nor to run away. It's to position yourself with discernment, prepare yourself with diligence, and move with conviction when the three confirmations align. Internal preparation, external opportunity, community validation. And when that moment comes, you will know. Not because it will be easy, but because it will be clear. And clarity with fear is infinitely better than confusion with false courage. Because clarity sustains you when the initial courage fades. Clarity reminds you why you left when the longing for the familiar hits. Clarity anchors you when everything around you is floating. So today, now, you decide. Will you continue to oscillate between paralysis and impulse? Or will you enter the process of true discernment? Will you confuse restlessness with a calling and move for the wrong reasons? Or will you do the hard work of separating escape from faith, anxiety from direction, exhaustion from purpose? The choice is yours. It always has been, it always will be. And that is the greatest freedom and the greatest responsibility there is. If this video reached you exactly when you were between being paralyzed and moving hastily, if you recognize that you need discernment before decision, leave the word discern in the comments. This is your declaration that you will do the right process, in the right steps at the right timing. And subscribe to the channel, because in the coming days, we will dive deep into how to build this wise transition timeline, how to prepare each area of your life for change without unnecessary rupture. Activate the bell because the next video will give you practical tools to test on a small scale before committing on a large scale. And share it with someone you know is at this crossroads between the fear of staying and the fear of going, needing to hear that there is a third way: wisdom. Until next time, and remember, a genuine calling doesn't terrify you with false urgency. It prepares you with progressive clarity.
Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life, a guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming, with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10,000 readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who were tired of living in the fog, ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.